Good morning, Rabbi Isai. How's everybody doing? Today's shiur is sponsored Le'ili Nishmas, my mother, Ruz Bas Mordechai, and in honor of Shia Greenfeld. He spent more money this month on all the sponsorships than he did last month. Right. Shia Greenfeld from Green Star Electrical Contracting, who sponsored the whole month last month of turning the daf. Obviously, business is going really well, and he's not really 40 years old. He's only like 39. His birthday is in Tu B'Shvat. But whatever, any excuse, he ran out of yard sites. He ran out of yard sites. All right, so it should be a tremendous mazel shia. You should give us all brachas. And today's shiur is sponsored by Ira Greenstein. Mazel tov to Tamar, Elisheva, and somebody just put something on the chat, so I couldn't read. And Elio, on your marriage Thursday night. I'm looking ahead, so I don't have to turn around awkwardly this way. But yeah, that chat is going crazy. It's unbelievable. From Avi Mendelbaum. Shkoyach Avi. In case you want to know who Avi Mendelbaum is, he's the one that talks before the shiur, and everybody else listens. So, today is Daf Lamed Hey, and we have an email from Rafal Nelson. Dear Beli Shlita, Rav Agoin, Chulu V'Chulu, he got his he got his Lashon from Harry Shalom from California. This is what it says on my shtender he sent me. I used to watch this shiur on the way to work, in the car, at home, after work, but not anymore. Listen to this, rabbis. This is very important. Ben Schwartz said that his wife set aside time and made sure not to schedule any patients. Ben Schwartz is a dentist. She doesn't schedule any patients from 2:15 to 3:15 p.m. in New York Standard Time, or otherwise known as in-town time. So he can be part of the shiur live. So I figured, why shouldn't I do the same? Rabbi Isai, we're learning from each other. Everybody gets chizuk one from another. So he's also, I post a sign on my office door saying, in a meeting, and join the live shiur. It's an absolute game changer. Yehuda Nelson. P.S. I've added a picture of my setup. I forgot to print it tomorrow, Beis Hashem. What? That's the night shiur. The night shiur here, 9:15 is 2:15 in New York. Beautiful. One more quick one from James Saka. Thank you for today. Yes, it's the same Saka family. I said, I noticed the name. It's very familiar. My brother Sandy's daughter married Tzvi Friedman. What is funny that I myself never learned Gemara, and I decided to do only the 8-minute recap. Rabbi said, this is also tremendous Musar Haskell. Tremendous. And I was doing it all along until Shabbos Daf 85 or 86, where you guys didn't make an 8-minute video. So you think it's a terrible thing. We didn't make an 8-minute video. You know what happened? So I decided to do the full shiur. And since then, I now study it myself, then listen to the YouTube shiur in the morning, and then go back for the afternoon. So from 8 minutes, it became close to 2 hours. It's unbelievable. I mentioned to my brother about trying it out, and he did one class, and he said he knew Eli, and that's his wife's cousin, small world. And by the way, now my brother listens every day. Shabbat Shalom, James Saka. Amazing. All right. Zok the Heilige Gemara. If you are joining us, you weren't here last night, I feel bad. I usually don't do this much as Shabbos, but it was like smack in the middle of the sukkah, so we're holding like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 lines down on Lamed Hey Amud Aleph. 10 lines down, sorry. Rabba v'Rav Yosef the Amru Tavayu. So we have a new pshat in our Mishnah. So what happened there? The Mishnah says if a person puts his Eruv in a closet, in a migdal, a closet, locks the door of the closet and forgets where he put the key, he cannot access his Eruv. So Tanakama says it's a good Eruv, Rabbi Lezer says it's not a good Eruv. What is the machlokes? So we had pshat number 1 yesterday, that we're talking about a closet built out of stone, but the only thing holding the stones together is avir. Here, easy to break it down and access it. And we are talking about yontif only. Okay, new pshat. Rabbi v'Rabbi Yosef the Amri Tarvayu hocha b'migdal shel eitz askinon. We're not talking about a yontif. We're talking about Shabbos as well. And the closet is made out of wood. And what's the shaila? The mar sovar klihu. Now we're talking about a very large closet, like we described, remember in the demonstration, Chida, Teva, Umigdal. Migdal is a closet. And we said then during the demonstration that the box is larger than 40 saw. So if it's larger than 40 saw, perhaps in that sugya, it's not a kli. That's what we're going to come out today as well. So Hachav Migdal Shalayt Skin, a very large box, more than 40 saw. The Mar Sova Klihu. So one man Dharma holds it's a kli, ve'ein binyan bekelim, ve'ein stir bekelim. So the Tanakama holds that it's a kli, and therefore there's no concept of breaking and building a kli. And therefore you're permitted to break it on Shabbos to get to your Eruv. So it's not a problem. What's the problem? That you can't get to the bread. Break it open. You get to your bread. Umar Savar, but Rebbe Eliezer holds, oilhu. It's not a kli anymore, it's more like an oil. It's just a covering. And so what we gain here is that this whole question, this, like when we learned the pshat in the Mishnah yesterday, I mentioned, hey, Yantif, so how does it fit into Masechtas Eruvin? We're talking the whole Masechtas Shabbos, and all of a sudden you're sticking in here a Mishnah that belongs in some other, in Megillah, I don't know where, in the Pesachim, you bring it here in Masechtas Eruvin, so now this fits in better. It's referring to an Eruv on Shabbos. So, Umar Sovar Oilu Ubeplukta Dahanetanoi, and this is a machlokes that we had. This is not. We're talking about a Zov, Hikish al Gabe Shido Teva Umigdal. So if a Zov bangs on a door, so if he bangs on a door, what happens? The door becomes tamei. If he touches a kli, he's a zav, so it should be tamei. So what's going on here? Hikish. He banged on the door, so why shouldn't it become tamei? Explains Rashi. He was wearing a glove. See? If he touches like this, so he's not really touching. So the only thing that he could do is give it a bang. If he gives it a bang and it shakes and moves it, now it's Heses. All right, so he gave it a good move. Rabbi Nechemya and Rabbi Shimon and Taharim, and Rabbi Nechemya and Rabbi Shimon say it's tar. Shita Migdal Tmeim. Rabbi Nechemya and Rabbi Shimon tar. My lab alkem. So let's think. What could be the machlokes possibly here? Maz Sovar, Tanakama holds klihu, and if it's a kli, it's just a vessel. A vessel is makabel tuma. Umar Sovar, and Nechemya and Rabbi Shimon hold oilhu. Oh, so it fits right into our machlokes. That's what we said, right? Machlokes, whether it's a kli or if it's an oil. It's so big it can't be a kli. It must be an oil. It's like a house of some sort. Omer Abaye v'tizbera. No, I don't like this pshat. V'tanya, it says regarding a zov, oil v'niset, tamei. Even if it's something huge, like a tent, like a massive thing, it's not a kli, but you're able to move it. Why are you able to move it? It wasn't secured to the ground properly. He was able to move it to Zav, tamei. In other words, we don't care. There's no difference between a kli and an oil. It's one shaila. Could you move it or not move it? Oil v'nisei tamei. Even if it's an oil, but you moved it, it's tamei. Kli v'ein. You take a kli, you take a little coffee mug, but you cement it into the ground, and he can't move it. Tar. Viktani seifa vim hayuni soitim tmeim. In other words, everybody agrees to this. Zeh klal, meaning even Rabbi Nechemya and Rabbi Shimon agree. Niseit machmas koichoi tamei. If it moves from his power, it's tamei. Machmas re'ada tahar. Imagine that guy that we saw. They took him out with a crane from the second floor in Brooklyn somewhere. And he's walking next to something and he causes an earthquake. That's a ra'ada. Tar. If it starts shaking, literally shaking because he's stomping on the ground, tar. Why is that tar? But he made a move. Because this is a koyach koychoi. It's an indirect force. It's a force of a force. He hit the ground, which in return hit the kli, and then it moved. So Abai says, I don't like this pshat. You can't make any nafkamina between a kli and an oil. They're all the same. If he touches it and moves it, it's tamei. If it doesn't move it, I don't care how small it is, it's tahar. End the story. Elo Amar Abaya. The kula alma heses machmas koichi tamei. Yes. If I move something because of his direct power, it's tamei. Machmas ra'ada, if it's from a koyach koichai, an indirect force, tar. It's a little bit confusing, the lashon here, because it's using the same word, ra'ada, but over here, ra'ada is talking about a vibration. Imagine if you walk over to a telephone pole, a metal, one of those metal poles in the middle of the street, and give it a good punch, so you'll hear like a you're not moving it really, but you hear zzz, like it starts making a noise. That's what we're talking about over here. So if you create a vibration, machmas koichai, you actually hit it. Not from stomping on the ground next to it. You actually hit it. So it's not moving. You don't see it shaking at all. But something's going on. And that's machlokes, whether a vibration caused by a force is considered a hesed and it's tummy or not. In our Mishnah, now, if it's more than 40 saw, then it's an oil, and it's not an eruv. If it's less, it is. So what's the machlokes? Abaye v'Rava, and by the way, Tosfos just points out here, so why don't we just say the machlokes is whether or not yesh binyan v'stir b'kelim, like the Gemara brought before in the beginning of the sugya. So Tosfos says that can't be because that's actually machlokes b'sham v'sil. The Gemara didn't want to get into that. Fine. Abaye v'Rava d'amar tarvayu b'manul ukotir b'misna askinon. We're talking about somebody locked the door with a rope. Now, if he could undo it with his hand, okay, great. The problem is ubayis akin lemifseke. If he could undo it with his hand, it's a good eruv. He has access to it. He'll just go like this and open it. But you need a good knife. And here's the machlokes, a familiar machlokes that we had in Masechta Shabbos. Tanakama sovar lo kirb yosi. The Tanakama holds like Rabbi Yosi the Omar Kol HaKelim Nitolim b'Shabbos chutz mimasur hagadol v'yosei shel machreisha. Every kli in the world is not mukta besides these guys. The very large saw that you cut wood, this is muksa machmas chisarin kis. You don't allow other people, you don't lend this to your neighbor. This is not something, this is your business, you cut lumber. Or the knife, or whatever you want to call it, at the end of your plow, this is an expensive tool. Without this, if somebody damages it, you're not going to have any food. You don't lend this out. This is muksa machmas chesaron kis. These are the things, in other words, anything that's muksa machmas chesaron kis. You don't let your children play with it, it's not a toy, you don't lend it out so easily. Muksa machmas chesaron kis. Any other kli that you have, and certainly a kitchen knife, is not mukta. So if I want to use my kitchen knife to cut the rope, great, go ahead. What's the other svara? If you recall from Masechta Shabbos, Rebbe Lezer savar lo ki Rebbe Nechemia the Omar, afilu talis, even clothing, va'afilu tarvod, even a spoon, eini tolin elo l'tzarich tashmishon. So everybody, Rebbe Lezer holds that even a kli that you would think is the most innocent looking kli in the world, a spoon, and also a kitchen knife, is muktzah if you're not using it to cut chicken. So you can't take a kitchen knife and cut a rope. That's not what it's meant for. It was meant to smear butter on your bread, to cut the chicken, but not to do something like that. And if you want to use it to cut the lock, it's muktzah and it's asur. Now, let's look at Rashi for a second. Very, very important Rashi here. It's a good few lines, but it's kedai to see inside. Rashi dibra maskal ubayis sakina lemifske, smack in the middle of the page. Says Rashi, if he could cut it with his hand, shaper dami afilu Rebbe Eliezer, dein chaticha asura ela b'mechubar Cutting is only also when you have something attached to the ground. Over here, he's being destructive. He's damaging something, so therefore it's mutter. If you have a seal on a kli, it's no problem. You break it. Now, over here is gzeri darabon the mechzik soiser. In our case, you're breaking oil, you're breaking the kli, and that is a gzeri darabon, because it looks as if you're breaking something. It's not really breaking a real building. You're just trying to open up a door by cutting the rope. Says Rashi, this is the point I wanted to bring out here. So again, since it's only Issa D'Rabbanan because it looks like you're breaking Shvus, we're talking about an Eruv. And the whole point of an Eruv is that moment of Ben Hashmashas. And during Ben Hashmashas, according to Rebbe, we don't care if you're over Issa D'Rabbanan. Says the Mishnah, Nizgalgel chutz latchum nafal olav galu nisraf. So what happened? You have an Eruv. You place the Eruv 2,000 amas away from your house. And then it rolls away. It gets blown away by the wind. So it's 2,001 amma away from you. So now you have a very big problem. And Tosfos says a very interesting thing. If you look at the last lines in Tosfos, Tosfos says that Rabbanim did him a favor by not allowing this Eruv to take effect, because if it would take effect, this individual would be stuck right where he is. Remember that story with Reb Meir that a guy came to him and said, look, I'm trying to go to, what was it called? The Irdin, something. And he said, I made an Eruv with an onion. And Reb Meir said, okay, stay right over here, you're not moving. You can't move. And the Gemara said, okay, he used the leaves of the onion. But the point is that if you don't have a good Eruv, it's out of the Tchum your Eruv, so where you are, you're not allowed to be. You're without an Eruv, so you're stuck. You only have your 4 amas, says Tosfos. Very interesting. So sort of like Chachamim do you a major favor here, and they say, we're going to ignore this Eruv since it blew away. It's not an Eruv, and B'meila, at least you have a little bit of space on Shabbos. You can move 2,000 in each way. You can't use that 2,000 amas. You can't use that Eruv and go from there 2,000 amas, but at least from your house you can move around in any direction. Otherwise, if we would say that Eruv is a good Eruv, where is that Eruv? 2,001 amma where you are, and you don't have a connection with it, so you're stuck. You only have 4 amas, says Tosfos. I thought it's a very nice insight. Says the Mishnah is Gagel chutz latchum. If your Eruv rolled out of where you are, or nafal olav gal, a pile of bricks fell on top of it. You can't get it. You can't reach it. Or nisraf, or burnt. You certainly can't get to it because it's burnt. Truma v'nitmas. You made an Eruv out of truma, even if you stroll. We said you could use truma for an Eruv, and it became tamei. Certainly, if you discovered all of this before Shabbos, it never had a chance to grab on. You have to be able to grab, that Eruv has to be chal during Ben Hashmashas, and Friday afternoon is nothing. All this happened before Friday, your Eruv burnt before Shabbos comes in, no good. That's what we said. As long as you are one moment in Ben Hashmashas, it's a great Eruv. Like we said yesterday, a perfect case is if Yontif is on Friday, and then you have Shabbos, and you're concerned that an animal is going to eat your Eruv, so a couple of moments after complete darkness, after Ben Hashmashas, you take your Eruv and you bring it home. You protect it. And then the following day, right before Shkia, you run back to the Eruv place, you put it down, and now it's going to work for the next day. The point is, all you need an Eruv to be chal is one moment during Ben Hashmashas. So, I don't care that it got burnt. I don't care that it became tamei. You had a good Eruv. Im Safek. Now we're going into a sugya of Safek. I don't know what happened. I don't know when it burnt. I have no idea. It's 2,000 amas away. When I showed up there, it's burnt to crisp. Did it happen before Shabbos? Did it happen after Shabbos? Did it happen in Ben Hashmashas? I have no idea. Hareze chamor gamol. So Reb Meir and Yehuda say this is a donkey and a camel. Meaning, a donkey, you're behind the donkey. That's how you don't lead a donkey. You go behind the donkey. You have to give it a good few zetzen in its rear. You make it move. A camel, the opposite. You're standing in front of the camel. Now I went on Google and I looked for a picture. I could only find one picture. And unfortunately, it looked like this. Now, this is illegal. Because if you look closely, it has all these marks here. I don't know, could you see? Zoom in a little bit, Gary. Could you see this? You see the watermarks all over? Watermarks. Fine. But it was such a perfect picture. What am I going to do? I can't. It's kind of illegal, and I can't even talk about that it's illegal because that's like cheating also. So I went ahead and I ordered it. I bought it. No, we're transmitting. No. No. Awesome. Now look at this. Whatever, a couple under $2,000. It was kedai for this year. No, I'm kidding. No. But look, it says over here. Oh, it doesn't. I have it in an email. This is in Brooklyn, so I thought maybe he's a frum guy. So certainly you're not allowed to steal from him.
Don't say how much because you get free sponsors for that.
Anyways, here's the picture. I love the picture. I don't do this often. We try to find the free ones. But look at this. This is exactly what the Gemara is saying. The donkey is in front. He's in the back. So what? Oh, once I have the picture, I had to go all out on this picture. So if you look over here, look at this picture for a second. This is what we're talking about. Levi said, the guy that owns the picture goes, who in the world bought this picture and why? Oh, they must be doing Daf Yomi. Here's your house. You place your Eruv 2,000 amas away. You're allowed to go 2,000 amas in any direction. This way, this way, this way. So you put your 2,000 amas to your challah, your Eruv, 2,000 amas away from your house. That gives you an additional 2,000 amas because we pretend that this is where you're living on Shabbos. What that does is that it doesn't allow you to go 2,000 amas this way. You're stuck. This is the end of your tchum. It's also for you to go 2,000 amas this way. Why? Because now this becomes your house. And you can go 2,000 amas this way and 2,000 amas this way, but not past the house this way. Says the Gemara, because we have a suffix, we don't know if this is your Eruv, and if this is your Eruv, you could go this way and this way. And we don't know if it's not your Eruv, so now you live here and you can go this way and this way. So what do? We make you into a camel, into a donkey. We say that you're in the front and you're in the back, but that's it. So you're allowed to go from your house to your Eruv, but you cannot go from your house that way, and you can't go from your Eruv this way. You are stuck misafik. The suffix limits you to this area between your house and your Eruv, between your camel and your donkey. Now what's very interesting is that the suffix is worse than a vadai. Had you known for sure that it's not an Eruv, then you could go in any direction from your house. Like the Rabbeinu Yonah says, talking about tshuva, and Rabbeinu Yonah says that when it comes to Asham Tali is more expensive than a chatas. It has a price tag on it. You have to spend X amount of shkalim on your Asham Tali. A chatas could be for free. Because of the Asham Tali, your suffix, since you don't know if you're over an Aveira or not, that's worse than knowing for a fact that you're over an Aveira. Rabbi Yosi, Rabbi Shimon Oimrim, suffix Erev kosher. So, suffix Erev kosher, it's a good Erev. Omer Rabbi Yosi, Avtumus Heyed Mishum Chamisha Skenim Al suffix Erev Shekosher, Ememela, I could go in every direction from my Erev. This is my Erev. I go here, I go there, because even the 5 Skenim said that if you have a suffix in an Erev, it's a good Erev. Says the Gemara, Nizgalgal Chutz L'Tchum. If your Erev rolled out of the Tchum, past you, now it's 2,001 amas away from you, So this is the famous Rava we've been discussing a lot, and here it is. This is the source. We brought this as the Rava, but Rava says that once you decide where you're residing on Shabbos, you get automatically 4 amas in every direction, and therefore, that's why if your Eruv rolls 2001 amas, like I said before, that's not a problem according to Rava because you have 4 freebie amas. And Rashi says, let's say a guy has a house, a huge house, it's 1,000 amas. So I can walk to the end of my house, and from there I start my 2,000 amas. I don't care how big my house is. My house could be, so I have 3,000 amas if that's the case. I enter my house, I take a train to the end of my house, which is 1,000 amas later, and then I walk from there 2,000 amas. So too over here. This is your domain, this is your residence. So the tchum starts from this line on. It doesn't start from here, wherever you place your Eruv on the tree. It starts from where your house ends. Your house ends there, you go from there. So Mamela, if my Eruv rolls off the tree and rolls into this box somewhere, I'm still good. It's within my residence. Nafal of gal. If a pile of stones falls on top of your Eruv, you have no access to it. The Havamina was, that if I want, I could physically move the stones away and get to it. What is that called? Muktzah. And why is that okay? According to the Tanakama, it's fine. I'm allowed to move the stones. So when the Mishnah says this Eruv, it's not a good Eruv. It doesn't go according to Rebbe. Rebbe says that if you just over Issur D'Rabbanan, which is Muktzah is the Rabbanan, and your Eruv has to take place during Ben Hashmashas, it's not a problem according to Rebbe. Right? Yesterday we already decided that the Mishnah is Rebbe and Rabbanan. The first part is Rebbe, second part is Rabbanan. Basically, we don't go like Rebbe. Says Gemara, you could say that this Mishnah goes according to Rebbe, and according to Rebbe, it's not a problem to move Muktzah. Over here we have a different problem. Since I need to come onto tools, so the tool is no longer, we're not discussing the Rabbanans now. Now we're talking about the Eraisa. Either it's Baina or it's Chayresh. You're preparing it to plow. Whatever the Isser is here, it's Isser D'Eraisa. And the Isser D'Eraisa, Ben Hashmashos, we don't allow you to do it, and therefore this Erev is not Erev. What happened? Right during Ben Hashmashos, you have a pile of stones, and you're saying, well, move the stones with a shovel. You're not allowed to. Ben Hashmashos, you're not allowed to do Isser D'Eraisa. If it was just a question of muktzah, I could just lift up a 1 pound stone and move it away, and that's muktzah, then you're right. According to Rebbe, this would be a perfect Eruv because all you're doing is this the Rabbanan. But since you're using a tool, so the tool creates here Issa D'Eraisa of either Baina or Chayresh. Utzricha. Now, why do I need all these cases in the Mishnah? Nafal of Gal, a pile of stones fall on, or it got burned, or it's Truma. What's going on here? Says Gemara, if it only say the case of stones, it's because I can't get to it. It's not in his domain. But a pile of stones fell over the Isigabei. It's within his domain. It's within his rishos. He just doesn't have access to it, but it's within his house, so to speak. And if it only says stones, I can't get to it, even if I want to get to it, because it's covered. But why did it roll away? Because let's say a wind came and blew it, so now a wind will come and blow it this way, right back into your rishos. So therefore it should be Erev right now. What's the third case? You used Truma and it became Tameh. Why do I need a third case? Says the Gemara, we're turning to Daf Amud Beis, sponsored by Asher. Li Nishmas' mother is Yomi, and make it a great day. And by Dr. Listhouse, we'll call him Atzadik Mordechai Yosef ben Aaron. List the house. So, why does it say the case of Nisraf? It's not even here anymore, it's gone. That Rabbi Yossi is Mekel, even though it's not here. It doesn't exist anymore. Rabbi Yossi says it's a good Eruv. So, Tana Truma v'Nitmes, that it's here, it's right in front of you. And Remeir and Yehuda both hold that it's not a good Eruv, even if it's in front of you. That's how machmir they are. Ask the Gemara. V'saver Remeir sveikel l'chumro. Does Remeir hold that if you have a suffix, what happened? He doesn't know when it burnt. He doesn't have any idea. It's possible it happened before Shabbos, it's possible after Shabbos, because it's a suffix, not an Eruv. Vasnan. We learned in a mission that Remeir holds that when you have a suffix, you go l'kula. Tamei shiara lidbal. You have a person who's tamei who was tovel in a mikvah. Suffix tovel, suffix lital. We don't know whether he got all his hair into the mikvah. Whatever it is, suffix. V'afilu tovel, a bunch of sveikas now. V'afilu tovel, suffix tovel, bar boim sa, suffix lital, bar boim sa. Huh? Exactly. Okay, fine. We're not going to go there. But there's other things, like he doesn't know, his hand might have stuff, whatever. He thought about it afterwards, he realized, hey, it might have been a boo-boo. Maybe I was floating and I didn't realize. Safek tava bar ba'im sa, safek loy tava bar ba'im sa. We can understand this more. He's not sure if the mikveh had the full 40 sa. And he went to like one of these beautiful mikvahs. He heard later on Shabbos, the year, one of them didn't have 40 saw. He's not sure which one he went into. Bekitzer, he has a suffix on his tefillah. Sveikoi, tamei. Suffix is tamei. That's only in a tumah deraisa. That we say that as a chazaka mikara, you use his status right before he went into the mikvah. What was his status? What was his chazaka? He was tamei. So he continues being tamei. Avol b'tumah kala, but a really light tumah, which is the rabbanon kegoin. And Rabbi said we had all of this in Masechta Shabbos. If you recall, the Shmonasa Davar, the 18 enactments that they enacted in the attic of Chananya ben Chizkiah, kegoin shochal cholim tmeim. Right, midaraisa, food cannot make a person tamei. But he ate food that's tamei. V'shasa mashkim tmeim, and he drinks liquids that are tamei. V'abaroisha v'rube b'mayim shuvim, or he went to a mikvah from not rainwater, drawn water, sink water. So you think, what's the big deal? He went to a mikvah, so worse comes to worse. He went to a mikvah. No, it makes you tamei. Or if he's a tul yaim, whatever the sugya over there was, that water fell on his head, 3 log, or in a case that he had the suffix tefillah in the rabbanon, bafilu tovel. Suffix tovel barbam saw, suffix tovel barbam saw. He doesn't know if the mikveh had 40 saw. V'chein shnei mikvahs and 2 mikvahs. B'achzish barbam saw, b'achzim barbam saw. He went into one of the 2, and he's not sure which one of the 2 he went into. One had 40 saw, one didn't have. V'tovel b'achzim b'nideh beizmim tovel. Sveikoi tahar. Oh, so you see me the rabbanon, you're tahar. And who is this? This is Remeir. Who else is it? Anonymous Mishnah, Remeir. And we're saying that a suffix is tamei, a suffix is machmir, a suffix is not an eruv. What's an eruv? The rabbanon over here. The rabbanon is tahar. Says the Gemara, beautiful answer. That's part of it. Okay, this answers it. We're not dealing with, our Mishnah is not dealing with Eruv that's the Rabbanon. We're dealing with Tchum. And Tchum, according to Rameh, is the Raisa. Who else says that Tchum is the Raisa? Who's the famous one that says? Very good. Rebbe Akiva is the one that says that a Tchum is the Raisa. Who's Rameir's Rebbe? Very good. Rebbe Akiva. So it makes a lot of sense that Rebbe Meir, the Tchum is the Raisa, like his Rebbe. Oh, does it make sense? If it made sense, great. But the Savar Rebbe Meir, Tchum is the Raisa. Does he really hold that? Votnan. Imen yochel have liyoi. Beautiful. We're going to see a whole sugya in Daf Nun Ches, Noyach. But look at this. No, I didn't pay for this one. This is beautiful. This is the Horseshoe Bend. I always wanted to go there one day. Yeah, it's gorgeous. And I think it's in Utah. No shiur from you. Before that, we're going to the safari. Anyway, a guy wants to make his Eruv. He wants to be over here. He needs to make an Eruv. He needs to hang out right here. What is he going to do? So he takes a rope that's 50 amma. This is how they measure, right? We're going to get it's a whole sugi. We don't have to do it. But the point is, he takes a rope that's 50 amma, and he keeps on measuring 2,000 amma. Now, obviously, this is quite a span. But let's just roll with me here. So he takes this rope that's 50 amma. What he should do, really, is he should go down the cliff, across the water, and up again. That's how he should measure. How is he going to get here? He doesn't have a helicopter. How is he going to get down? He is going to walk down, swim across, climb up. No. We're going to be nice to him. His tchum is only the blue line. That's all. That's all he has to measure. Okay? Imeni yochel avliyoi. So he does this. Bezu. In this case, only in this case of the Rabbanon, Shamati shemikadrim beharim. We drill out the mountain. Meaning, so if a person is climbing a mountain, what he could do is he could take a rope that's 4 amas, and he goes from his shoe, from his toes to the stomach, from the toes to the stomach, and that's how he does the mountain. He doesn't have to go this way. So says the Gemara, but if in fact Reb Meir holds that a tchum is a doiraisa, like you're telling me, that he holds like Rebbe Kiva, that tchumim is doiraisa, right? Everybody else argues on this. Bimekadrin, these are all leniencies to go across instead of going all the way down. When it comes to Ir Miklot, right? Somebody kills somebody else b'shoigig, and the family take care, Yosef. I really missed you. It's good to see you. The family has the right to take revenge, but if he hides out in the Miklot, or in Miklot, he's good. And the halacha is that as long as he's in the city, he's fine. Nobody can touch him. Nobody can harm him. But the city has a 2,000 amma extension. So how do you measure this extension? Not with these tricks of going across and going loy bar miklat. You cannot use that because or miklat is a halacha d'oraisa. V'loy begla arufa. If you find a body and you're not sure which city is responsible for the murder, you have to measure which cities. If they're both identical in distance, you bring a calf and chop. They do the egla arufa business. Mipnei shein shel Torah. It doesn't work in Doiraisa. So if it's Doiraisa, your tchumim, this wouldn't work either. And you're telling me Reb Meir is the one that says it's okay. You could do Mikadrin. What? Is he talking to me? Is somebody else outside? Sorry. Loikashia, Hadidei, Hadirabei. His Rebbe is the one that said that a tchum is midrabanan and mikadrin, and you could do this shtick with this rope, go across instead of down and around. That he said in the name of his Rebbe. He was saying it, but he said in the name, it's his Rebbe. Over here, he holds that a tchum is deraisa. Correct. Yeah, one of them, but he learned by... Yeah, but don't you remember, Rebbe Kiva was makil, he took his talmidim, and after the 24,000, he took these... Yeah. Look, they had different, 100%. Yeah. Correct.
There's a very stark difference between Ela Rufa and someone who kills Meshogi. The guy's running for his life.
Yeah.
So the amount of time it takes to get from here, even if he's going down the snake path, I don't
Yeah.
Not the time. As opposed to we're looking at a sheer, halachic sheer for an Eruv. It doesn't matter how much time it takes you to go from point A to point B. It's a matter of what is the
But why is it that the Raisa, you can't measure a certain way? You can't be lenient because it's the Raisa. So too, in an Eruv, if it's a deraisa, you can't be lenient. You can't use any leniencies in a deraisa. This, they told you, don't make yourself meshuga. You're not going to start going up ladders and using ropes, and it involves 300 people and all sorts of equipment. Just do it the simple way here. Here's your tchum. End the story. Why are they so lenient? It's a deraisa, and deraisa you can't be lenient. You have to take whatever it takes to make. The answer is because l'chayra, an Eruv is not deraisa, but Rameir says it is deraisa. So how do you explain it? It says the Gemara Dekonami, and I'll prove it to you. Dekonami bezu Amar Rabbi Distoy Berbianim Mishum Rameir Shamati. Rameir says I heard. In other words, he's quoting his Rebbe, whoever his Rebbe is. I don't think he was quoting Acher. Shamati shemekadrim baharim. You could be lenient and measure. What do they call it? The ear space, the ear line of sight. Not go following the terrain. But he's only quoting his Rebbe. I myself don't hold like that, says the Gemara. Rameir doesn't hold like that. Shema, Rameir holds it's the Raisa, and you cannot be Mekader. His Rebbe, Shemati, I heard from somebody. I myself don't hold like that. Says the Gemara, we're going to have a kasha on Reb Meir and a kasha on Reb Yossi. Tomorrow, I'm sorry, you're going to have to. I don't like, leaving the Olam halfway through the story. The who? The cliffhanger. But tomorrow, Be'ez Hashem, we're going to see Rabbi Yossi's kasha on the top of the page. We have a kasha here on Rabbi Meir. This not. Noga bechad b'laylo. Terrible story. He was touching his friend at night. He was trying, let's say, to calm him down. No, it makes sense. His friend is in pain and agony. He has whatever. He's dying from a machla. And he's like, take it easy. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will help. Everything's good. He has no idea if the guy's alive or dead. What happened? Rosh Hashanah, the year before, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, he's not going to make it. It's like, I forgot who said it. Rabbi Eli Stefansky said that when you have meiser, you take your animals, go out one by one from the gate. You count 1, 2, and then the 10th one comes, you're supposed to splash red paint on him. That sheep, says Rabbi Eli Stefansky, goes and starts playing with his friends. He has no idea that on his back he has a red mark. He doesn't chap that in 5 minutes they're taking him out of shechting him. He's a meiser. He's a nebach. We, on Rosh Hashanah, we eat the simanim. It's a geshmak. Simanim. It was a beautiful baltikeya. Everything was great. Menachem mateh, the whole thing. And we don't chap that we just got the red thing. We got to do tshuva. We got to go into the bath and rub it off. Rub that red ink off. Otherwise, they're going to chap that I'm the meiser and take me away. You have to do tshuva. Unbelievable. I think it's Rabbi Eli Stefansky. Reb Meir mitayr v'chachamim mitamim. This guy died. Reb Meir mitayr v'chachamim mitamim. My wife heard me learning the sugya, and she's like, I understand. Like, what? How did he die? I understand how he died. Kitzer, trying to explain to her, we're just talking halacha here. It's not, didn't it actually happen? Whatever, fine. V'chachamim mitamim shekolat hatumos b'shas mitziason. So Reb Meir holds, Nachama. Rameir mitahir. Rameir says, tar. Why? Chazaka that yesterday he was still alive. So when you touched him, the chazaka that, what was the status quo? Status quo is alive. Now he's dead. V'chachamim mitamim. So Memela by Erev should be the same thing according to Rameir. Chazaka that the food, that everything is good. Chachamim mitamim shekolatum is kishas mitziyasan. And Chacham say no, it's tamei. Tamei is like what we find it. Not, don't give me chazakas, the guy was alive yesterday. Right now, tamei. Omer Birmiya, Mishnaseinu Shaya, Aleha, Sheretz, Kol Ben Hashmashais. Was talking about here, I just found a picture from, I think it was Shabbos. Where was this picture? Here's a Sheretz, a dead rat on top of your food. We have testimony that this is what happened. This Sheretz was on there the entire time during Ben Hashmashas. No, but that's very hard to understand. If that's the case, so what's the machlokes? Who argues on that? In other words, if you have Eidim, you have Eidim, so there's no chazaka. But if there's Eidim, why would Rabbi Yossi say that it's kosher? Says the Gemara, Rabbi Yossi Adam Tavayu, I'll explain to you. They're explaining Rabbi Yirmiyah's pshat. There are two sets of Eidim. There's two against two. When I was 11 years old, a very chosh, I'm not going to mention his name, a very chosh, like a gadol, mamish a gadol, a person that wrote crazy about the Svarim, he gave me a fair. And he asked me, what's the halacha 2 against 2? So I said, Kimandalesa. It's as if, because I was just learning the sugya, it's as if it doesn't exist. And he said, no, it's ukma cheskosa. I said, no. I looked at it, I said, no. He was so upset at me. That's why I don't want to mention his name. He goes, I said it's ukma cheskosa. I said, no. My Rebbe said it's Kimandalesa. To me, it made sense. 2 against 2, you just cancel them out. And I didn't care. Anyway, he was furious at me. And I was looking at this morning to see who was right, because it seems like la halacha you don't say ukma cheskosa, but I don't know. He wanted, maybe in that sugya, I have no idea. He's a tremendous person. He's not alive anymore. I don't know his name. So, what do we have here? So we have a shayla like this. Could you invoke your chazaka when you have 2 against 2? 2 against 2 plus I have a chazaka, or no? These 2 and 2, it's 2 people saying something. You can't throw in a chazaka. Oh, he was alive, he wasn't alive, Mustami was alive. There's 2 people saying what happened here. So ignore the chazaka. So that's the machlokes here. Treyu trey. And ukmi cheskosa, that's what Rabbi Yossi is going to say? Or no? We go by the chazaka. That's what Rameir says. Rava Omar Hazam Trey Cheski Lekula V'Achachad Chazaka Lekula. We could do this tomorrow because it's late. But basically, Rava says that there's another chazaka here. Fine, we'll talk about tomorrow. Have a wonderful day, Rabbi Isai. Shir Hamalois from the Bas Koil. Shir Hamalois,